Good afternoon. I just witnessed a little bit the presentations from the students, and I thought I would give you some ammunition, because you apparently are asked very often what is circular and why circular. Humanity's dream in the Middle Ages was to create gold from dirt. And gold was a sign for a better future. It was a means to create your future now, and it was passed on very carefully from generation to generation. So there is a big chance that something on gold you're wearing was mined by the Romans in ancient times. But what we are doing now is that we are creating waste from gold. And we're doing that on a massive scale. In the Netherlands alone, we throw away 27 million euro in gold every year. And that is only the Netherlands. And how is that possible? It is possible because 12% of the gold which is mined yearly is now used in electronic devices. And it's not only gold, it's silver. It's in fact, in every smartphone you find approximately 46 elements. And some of these are the rare earth metals. And what we discard is even worse. We discard 40 million tons of electronic waste every year. You can fill a line of trucks of 23,000 kilometers with this electronic waste, which is a distance from Tokyo to New York and back. So this is the numbers from 2014. 2018, it was projected this has been grown by 20%, so 6,000 kilometers approximately more. So we see that it is just not sustainable the way we organize our economy. And this is partly because of the linear economy, because we take metals out of the earth, we make products and we discard them. But it is also because of the business models we created. If you look at that telephone, I, as a kid, remember I was calling with this telephone at my grandmother's house, and it worked well until the 80s. And I don't know how many of those you have owned in the last 10 years. I have owned 5. My last one is a refurbished one, I must say. But we see that we as a consumer are contributing a lot to this waste of materials. And when we know that only 8% of all the gold we use is recovered, we see that in a finite system as close as the Earth is, this is not sustainable. And do you think this is a coincidence that is happening like that? No, it is on purpose. Business, in order to grow, has created business models which make us consume much more than we actually need, and discard much more than what we actually should. So there are the products we call those business models designed to fail, designed to be outdated, or designed to be out-fashioned. And all those in an economy where we know that our needs are temporary, but the consequences, they are permanent. They stay with us. And if you look what this in a growing economy means, then you can see this in a very interesting example. On the left-hand side, you see that the cement which was used by the United States in the entire 20th century. On the right-hand side, you see the cement which was used in China within 3 years. So this is the dimension of the problem we are dealing with. And just to give you a little nice picture of how that could look like, this was Beirut 1.5 years ago. They had a waste crisis. The waste wasn't collected anymore. And within a few weeks, they created something which looked like a skiing ramp. So there were also already photos taken with skiers on top. But it's incredible. And this is just one city in the world. So we urgently need to rethink our business model, to rethink our economic model, because the Earth is a closed system. And we started with that in our own office. And we said, we need to think of something different. And we asked Philips, would you be able to come and just sell us light? We want that you stay in charge of all the materials you use in your products. We want that you stay in charge of the electricity bill. And the effect was that we got a very, very good system, high quality products, which needed very little maintenance, which lasted very long. And at the same time, we could reduce our energy bill by nearly 50% because Philips tuned the system in a way that it was very, very energy efficient. So you see, as soon that you put the responsibility onto different shoulders, on shoulders where actually they can be taken, then you get completely different solution. We scaled it up because Schiphol, the airport in Amsterdam, they had the dilemma that they have an investment cycle of 15 years, and everything they could get on the market, which would burn for 24/7, would only last for 6 years. So 6 years with an investment cycle of 15 years is a very, very bad business case. You get 2.5 times that you have to install everything. So they heard of our project in our office and said, we want that as well. We want Philips to deliver a slide for 15 years. So Philips came and they saw themselves confronted with their own problem. So they looked into the design of the installation. They found that there was a little driver which was built in the installation in such a way that you would have to dismantle everything. And being responsible now, also in financial terms, for the consequences of this design, they went back, they changed the design. Now you can replace this little driver in a very quick and easy way. You don't have to throw away the whole installation. You don't need to close the lounge for days. And the whole system can not only function for 15 years, maybe it can even function for 20 years. So this is what we mean by different business models. As soon as we have the responsibility and the consequences together at one table, I think everything will change. But the second thing is, and that, as I already mentioned, was design is very important. So I just give you another example how we can think differently about design. Is we had to create this roof for this very, very big building. And it is a steel roof construction, and we were looking at someone, because our ambition was to create a truly circular building, and our ambition was to find someone who could provide us with a roof, a steel construction, which was not only easy to assemble, but also easy to disassemble, to transport and to reassemble, and that all in a safe way. And we asked all providers of steel constructions if they could provide us with such a steel roof. And they all stared us blankly and couldn't provide us with what we needed. So what we did is we thought, which industry is used to think in steel constructions, which you can assemble, which you can disassemble, which you can store, transport, and which you can reassemble. And we came up with those guys, because they have to do that every week. And they looked at us also blankly and said, no, we never built a roof. And we said, well, you probably never built a roof, but probably you can design a horizontal roller coaster. And that's what they did. And the funny thing is, we didn't even not only get roof construction with all the features I just told you, we got also roof construction with 30% less steel. So that's a very interesting fact as well, because in their business model, it was to give us the best construction we got, not to sell us as much steel as the other companies would have loved to. So that's the second thing. But in order to make sure that this construction will be reused as we intended, we realized that also documentation is needed. That waste, in fact, is a material without identity. So what we created for this whole building was a materials passport. We created a document wherein every material, the weight of the material, the location of the material, the way to reuse the material is documented. But that was a lot and a lot of work. So our ambition is to change the entire industry. And how do you change the entire industry? Only if you find a solution which you can scale up. So we realized that we wanted to have something, a tool, with which you can create material passports in an automated way. And also, we realized that we needed a model in which we could store the documentation in a centralized way, because otherwise maybe the manager who was in charge of that material passport, he will be gone in 30 years, and who knows then where the materials passport has gone. So what we created was the Madaster. And in fact, we know all the cadastre. The cadastre is a centrally organized institution where you know exactly what plot of land belongs to whom and what is the value of this land, where is it located, how big it is, where are the borders, etc. And in fact, we believe that we need a Madaster for all the materials. And we created that platform. It went live in September. It's a public platform. It is owned by a foundation because we believe that materials belong to all of us. It's not somebody who will be able, who should own them and should decide what we can do with them over 30 years. No, we believe that it is part of the public domain, that we are able to manage the materials together as a society. So it is very easy now. If you have your building documentation, you just uploaded it, and the system will automatically generate and calculate how much glass, how much metal, how much steel, whatever is in the construction, in which part of the construction it is. Also, it will calculate the circularity of the building, so how easy it is to disassemble, and how easy can you reuse all the materials in the building. And it will also give you a financial evaluation of all the buildings. So in fact, what we will get is buildings as material banks. And this is very interesting for the owners of the materials, because instead of writing materials off, we are now documenting the materials. We're giving them a material value, a financial value, and they can put them on their balance sheet. And this is very interesting for banks. So part of the community with which we created this is the financial community, because we see that we can bring stability into the system by validating the resources we have. And in fact, what we can do it this way is, in fact, create our economy and organize it as a library, so that we can reuse what we have every time we don't need it anymore, or somebody doesn't need it anymore. And by doing this, we can cherish what we have and pass it on to the next generation, because our planet is a closed system. Thank you very much.